A week removed from the most punishing fight of his career, Paddy Pimblett is confronting his first UFC defeat with a characteristic blend of self-deprecating humor and unwavering confidence. While Justin Gaethje left UFC 324 with the interim lightweight title and a dominant unanimous decision victory, the baddie is already shifting his focus forward, brushing off the visible damage and declaring his intention to return to the octagon as early as this summer. In a candid update on his YouTube channel, Pimblett reflected on the ironic outcome of his pre-fight bravado. Before the bout, he had vowed to alter Gaethje's appearance, but it was his own face that bore the marks of their 5-round war. The one thing that made me laugh is I did say before the fight I want to make his face look different, and for a couple of days he made my face look different, Pimblett admitted with a grin, referencing the pronounced swelling and dark bruising that circled his eyes in the immediate aftermath. I had big shiners. However, Pimblett was quick to emphasize the transient nature of the damage, showcasing the rapid healing that had already taken place just 7 days later. He directly addressed the speculation about a prolonged medical suspension. That was at its worst. He compared footage from fight night to his current, largely recovered state. As you can see now, it's a week later. There's nothing wrong with me. The only thing that's up with me is probably got a scratched cornea or something like that. I'll be back in the gym tomorrow. His message was a direct rebuttal to assumptions that such a brutal fight would necessitate a lengthy layoff. People think I'm going to have to take the rest of the year off. I'm not. I'll be fighting in the summer, Pimblett stated definitively, setting a clear and ambitious timeline for his comeback. The loss to Gaethje halted Pimblett's perfect UFC run and his 9-fight overall winning streak, but it also served as a grueling rite of passage. By going the distance with one of the division's most violent staples, he demonstrated a level of durability and heart that answered many critics, even in defeat. Still firmly entrenched in the lightweight top 5, the baddie remains a central figure in a stacked division. His declared summer return target sends a clear signal. He has no intention of dwelling on the setback. Instead, he aims to use the experience as fuel, likely eyeing high-profile matchups against other contenders hovering near the top. Whether it's a grudge match with Arman Tsarukyan, a clash with a fellow star like Conor McGregor, or another dangerous opponent, Pimblett's quick turnaround plans ensure the spotlight will remain firmly on him as he begins the most important rebuild of his career.
Mauricio Ruffy's spectacular second-round TKO victory at Rafael Fiziev at UFC 325 was a statement win on its own merit, but the harrowing backstory revealed by his training partner Alexander Volkanovski elevates the performance to a testament of sheer willpower. According to the featherweight champion, Ruffy didn't just face a tough opponent in Sydney, he waged a desperate private battle against a severe illness that nearly prevented him from stepping into the octagon at all. In a post-fight revelation, Volkanovski detailed the immense adversity Ruffy overcame in the fight week lead-up. "Put it this way, we're lucky that Ruffy even turned up this week," Volkanovski told reporters. "He had legit influenza A at the start of the week, crazy fevers. I didn't even think he'd be able to do the weight cut. I was like, oh man, we've got to mentally try to get him through that. Then he had some troubles even today, big troubles today. Couldn't move, but just told him he's got to mentally get himself in there, got himself around it, and then was able to go and do what he does against someone like Rafa. Incredible." Somehow marshaling the fortitude to push through the debilitating virus, Ruffy accomplished the Herculean twin tasks of a draining weight cut and then a high-stakes fight. He didn't just participate, he excelled, delivering a blistering performance that stopped the perpetually dangerous Fiziev and secured a coveted Performance of the Night bonus. The victory served as a crucial and emphatic rebound for the Fighting Nerds standout, who had been under intense scrutiny following a submission loss to Benoit Saint-Denis back in September 2025. That defeat had led many to question whether the hype surrounding his rapid ascent had prematurely burst, but Ruffy answered with a definitive display of the concussive power and sharp technique that originally marked him as a top prospect. The win, forged in illness and exhaustion, adds a profound new layer to Ruffy's budding reputation. It's no longer just about flashy knockouts, it's now also about deep-seated resilience and championship-grade mental toughness. What comes next for the lightweight will be a compelling question as the 155-pound division continues its relentless churn. After surviving such a punishing fight week, he will rightly take the necessary time to rest and recover fully. But when he returns to the cage, Mauricio Ruffy will do so not only as a dangerous striker, but as a fighter who has proven he can conquer dire physical adversity to secure a victory that solidifies his place among the division's most exciting and tenacious talents.
Diego Lopes' unsuccessful bid to dethrone Alexander Volkanovski at UFC 325 has come with a steep and painful price. Not only did the Brazilian challenger fall short via unanimous decision in their featherweight championship rematch, but he is now confronting the grim possibility of a prolonged absence from the octagon after potentially suffering multiple fractures during the grueling 5-round battle. Jason House, Lopes' manager, delivered the concerning injury update in a somber Instagram story. "Looks like we broke both feet," House wrote, casting a shadow over the fighter's immediate future. He added a poignant reflection on the contrasting realities of fight night. "Some nights you're at the after party, some nights you're at the ER." If medical imaging confirms the suspected bilateral foot fractures, it would represent a severe physical and career setback for the number 2 ranked contender, likely sidelining him for a substantial portion of 2026. The injuries compound the professional disappointment of a second defeat to Volkanovski, who previously outpointed Lopes in April 2025 to claim the vacant featherweight throne, and now has firmly solidified his reign with this successful first defense. In his post-fight interview with Daniel Cormier, a visibly dispirited but respectful Lopes credited the champion's veteran savvy and strategic adjustments. "I think Volkanovski is one of the best guys in the division for this. He made a lot of things round by round. I think the first round was a little bit closer. Second round he came back better. So step by step he made different things. Yeah, bro, I don't think I have a lot of words for this moment now." The loss marks a difficult turning point in Lopes' otherwise impressive ascent. Before his first encounter with Volkanovski, he was riding a dominant 5-fight winning streak, a run punctuated by a spectacular spinning elbow knockout of Jean Silva that had reignited his title hopes. Now he finds himself with a 1-2 record in his last 3 bouts, suddenly pushed to the periphery of the championship conversation he worked so hard to enter. As Lopes awaits a full medical assessment and begins the arduous process of recovery, the featherweight division will inevitably move forward without him. His immediate path is no longer defined by matchups and fight camps, but by rehabilitation and healing. The pressing questions now revolve around a lengthy timeline for return and the daunting challenge of rebuilding momentum from this compounded setback, a scenario that shifts the narrative of his career from title contention to a test of resilience.
UFC welterweight contender Shavkat Rakhmonov has delivered a sobering update to the MMA world, revealing a major setback that will further delay his highly anticipated return to the octagon. The undefeated Kazakh phenom, who has been sidelined for over a year since his dominant victory over Ian Machado Gary, has undergone another surgical procedure to address persistent injuries, pushing his comeback timeline back once more. In a candid and reflective statement posted on social media, Rakhmonov opened up about the physical and mental challenges of his prolonged recovery. "A fighter's path has never been easy. Life doesn't give us challenges we can't overcome. Every dream comes at a price, and sometimes that price is your health," he wrote, acknowledging the harsh realities of life at the sport's highest level. The admission came after concerning footage surfaced showing Rakhmonov's leg in a heavily bandaged and bruised state, prompting questions about his condition.
he addressed the speculation directly. "Today, I have to be honest. Due to ongoing injuries, I've had another surgery and will need time to fully recover. As a result, my return to the octagon will be postponed." This news is a significant blow to both the fighter and the welterweight division. Rakhmonov, with a perfect 18-0 record and a 100% finish rate, had been on an unstoppable rise, widely viewed as the heir apparent to the 170-pound throne. He was firmly in the title conversation before a series of injuries began to halt his momentum, first costing him a planned title eliminator and now extending his absence indefinitely. Despite the profound disappointment, Rakhmonov's statement was marked by resilience and long-term perspective. "It's not easy to accept, but I truly believe every setback is part of a bigger plan. I will come back stronger, smarter, and hungrier than ever," he affirmed. He concluded by reiterating the goal that has defined his career, a mission that now must wait. "My goal is still alive. The UFC belt still has to come to Kazakhstan. Thank you to everyone who stands by me no matter what. This is not the end of the journey, it's an important chapter of it." For now, the welterweight division, currently navigating a new championship era, must continue its evolution without one of its most feared and talented contenders. Shavkat Rakhmonov's path now leads away from the cage and back into the grueling, solitary process of rehabilitation, with his undefeated record and championship dreams placed on hold until his body allows him to resume his quest. The UFC's year kicked off with a tumultuous start at UFC 324, an event plagued by 2 pre-fight cancellations in a truly bizarre in-cage incident that stole headlines. During a middleweight bout, veteran referee Mark Smith suffered a serious knee injury while officiating, collapsing to the canvas and forcing an abrupt stoppage as officials escorted him from the arena. While many expressed concern for Smith, UFC flyweight contender Maycee Barber saw an opportunity to settle a score, throwing sharp public shade at the official with whom she has a simmering feud. The tension between Barber and Smith ignited last month at UFC 323. In her comeback fight against Karine Silva, Barber was hit with an illegal upkick while grounded. Although Smith briefly paused the action, he was seen on camera accusing Barber of exaggerating the impact of the foul, a moment that drew immediate criticism. Barber later stated she no longer felt safe competing under Smith's supervision. Following news of his injury at UFC 324, Barber took to threads with a pointed dig, writing, "Dear Mark Smith, stop, it was only a glancing blow, you're fine," alongside a photo of him being helped out of the octagon. Barber went on to defeat Silva by decision, extending her winning streak to 7 fights. She explained the illegal strike caused a sharp, tingling sensation, akin to hitting a funny bone, and replay footage clearly confirmed the foul. Her frustration stems from Smith neither allowing adequate recovery time nor penalizing Silva, cementing her distrust. "I don't want him reffing my fights at all," Barber told MMA Fighting. "I don't feel safe in there with him anymore. Don't feel like he's a very fair ref." The public jab comes as Barber looks to build momentum after a difficult period, marked by a seizure that scrapped a fight with Erin Blanchfield, a weight miss, and other health-related withdrawals. Now booked for a high-stakes rematch against Alexa Grasso in March, Barber is also eyeing a spot on the historic UFC White House event this summer. "It would be great to be ready to fight Grasso and then turn around and fight at the White House," she stated, aiming to parlay a victory into a title shot against champion Valentina Shevchenko on the year's biggest stage. For now, her rivalry with Mark Smith adds a personal layer of drama to her determined climb. Under Dana White's leadership, the UFC has secured landmark media deals and embraced influencer-driven marketing, but a growing segment of the fan base believes the promotion has lost sight of what once made its press conferences must-see events. The recent UFC 325 pre-fight presser in Sydney has become a flashpoint for this criticism, with fans and observers lamenting the sterile, predictable nature of the modern media session. The frustration was crystallized in a social media post by the account No Context Ariel Helwani, which mocked the repetitive and shallow line of questioning directed at headliners Alexander Volkanovski and Diego Lopes. Just tried watching the press conference to get a little hyped for the fight. Questions were, "Hey, Volk, are you gonna win? How does it feel? Are you excited to fight in Australia? How does it feel fighting in front of your people?" UFC press conferences have become completely pointless and so boring lately. This sentiment highlights a stark contrast with the promotion's earlier eras, when personalities like Conor McGregor, Chael Sonnen, and Michael Bisping transformed press conferences into electrifying spectacles that drove pay-per-view sales and captured mainstream attention. Today, many fans argue that the sessions have become formulaic, plagued by safe, obvious questions that elicit equally safe, rehearsed answers from fighters. The issue is compounded by the UFC's strained relationship with certain segments of the media. The most famous case is that of journalist Ariel Helwani, who was banned from UFC events, a move widely perceived as retaliation for his aggressive reporting, though the promotion cited his early break of Brock Lesnar's UFC 200 return as the official reason. This has created a chilling effect, with fans believing that only compliant reporters who avoid tough questions are granted access. Not a single current MMA media member is brave, professional, or smart enough to ask a real question. Why? Because real questions might get you attacked by a fighter or banned by Dana, one fan commented. The declining engagement is reflected in viewership numbers. While iconic pressers like the one for UFC 205 have garnered over 9 million views on YouTube, more recent events struggle to reach even 1 million. Even the monumental UFC 300 presser managed only 1.2 million views, a strong number by current standards, but a fraction of the interest generated in previous eras. Some fans also point to matchmaking as a root cause, arguing that compelling rivalries naturally generate better press conference drama. It's because the matchups are very bad, make good matchups, and press conference is fireworks, one user noted. Others lament a broader shift in the sports culture under parent company TKO, with one writing, "2025 was my last year watching anything UFC, TKO, Zuffa related. The sport in the hands of TKO today is barely recognizable compared to 10 years ago." As criticism mounts, the central question remains, what can or will Dana White and the UFC do to re-inject the authenticity, tension, and excitement that once made their press conferences a pivotal part of the fight week experience? For now, the consensus among a vocal portion of the fan base is clear. The current product is missing the spark that once helped propel the sport to new heights. Years removed from their explosive title fights, but never far from the simmering tension that defined one of MMA's greatest rivalries, Daniel Cormier and Jon Jones found themselves sharing the stage once more, not inside the octagon, but under the bright lights of a reality show set. The Russian fighting competition ALF Reality paired the two legendary adversaries as opposing coaches, a production choice that teased potential closure, but instead offered a raw glimpse into a wound that never fully healed. In a clip circulating on social media, the show's host, Alfredo Auditore, posed the question point blank, "Jon Jones, DC. DC with Jon Jones, friends now?" The pause that followed was brief but loaded. Cormier's response was immediate and devoid of sentiment. "Me? No," he stated flatly. Jones reacted with a mock, almost playful sad face, but Cormier didn't soften. "Jon Jones only talks shit to me. All he do is talk shit to me." Jones offered a half shrug and a quiet admission, "I do talk a little bit."
The exchange was awkward, painfully honest, and instantly dispelled any illusion of a manufactured reconciliation. This wasn't promotional hype, it was the unfiltered residue of a bitter history resurfacing. Jones had entered the project suggesting it might finally be a chance to bury the hatchet, but the familiar dynamic quickly reasserted itself. After filming Wrapped, Jones criticized Cormier in interviews, calling him stuffy and difficult with the fighters. He claimed he had repeatedly attempted to make peace, only to be rebuffed because, in Jones' view, Cormier finds their enmity lucrative. Their shared history is indelible. 2 epic clashes inside the UFC, with Jones winning the first at UFC 182 by decision and seemingly finishing the rematch at UFC 214 with a brutal head kick. That second victory was later overturned to a no contest following a failed drug test, an asterisk that forever stains the result and, for Cormier, symbolizes the core of their conflict. In a conversation with Ariel Helwani after the show wrapped, Cormier clarified his stance. The white-hot anger of the past may have cooled, but the history and the lines he believes Jones crossed remains. "I don't harbor the emotion of the past that I did with him. I really don't. But we spoke negatively about each other's families. We had a nasty, nasty thing," Cormier explained. For Cormier, moving forward doesn't require rewriting the past or forging a friendship he feels would excuse that behavior. His position is one of resigned professional distance. You don't need to be friends with everybody. You don't have to be friends with everybody that you had a problem with. It's fine. Just do your thing, I'll do mine, and we'll be okay. The moment on ALF Reality was a stark, unscripted confirmation of that philosophy. It provided no fairy tale ending, no hug to cap off the saga. Instead, it offered something perhaps more authentic for a rivalry this profound. Not friendship, but a hard-earned, honest, and permanent distance.
Alexander Volkanovski is a seasoned veteran when it comes to the grueling battle of the scale, a process as much a part of his championship routine as any fight camp. The former rugby player, who has competed as high as welterweight, has never missed the featherweight limit since his UFC debut in 2016. While Fight Week often sees the Great in his usual relaxed and humorous spirits, the final hours before weigh-ins reveal a different, more visceral side of the champion, a side dedicated to the brutal, precise science of making 145 pounds. Ahead of his UFC 325 title defense against Diego Lopes, Volkanovski offered fans a raw glimpse into that process through a YouTube video documenting his final cut. The footage showed the physical toll, with the champion looking drained and wrapped in towels, yet still mustering the spirit to quietly sing his walkout song, Men at Work's Down Under. He even squeezed in a final workout alongside fellow fighter Dan Hooker, pushing his body to shed every last ounce before the afternoon weigh-ins. According to his nutritionist, Jordan Sullivan of The Fight Dietitian, Volkanovski possesses a unique physiological advantage that makes these extreme cuts possible. He is an exceptionally prolific sweater. Big sweater, massive, one of the biggest sweaters I've ever worked with, which again is favorable for cutting weight, Sullivan explained in the video. There's guys that would look at the numbers Volk does and they could be in the featherweight division and never get close to doing the weight cuts that he does. Genetically, I guess that's something that's massively in his favor. This ability allows Volkanovski to rehydrate and recover more effectively, transforming from a depleted figure on the scale back into the powerful, explosive athlete who has dominated the featherweight division. It's a hidden trait that underscores his professionalism and has been a cornerstone of his success, enabling him to face taller, longer opponents like Lopes without sacrificing the strength and speed that define his fighting style. For Volkanovski, the fight begins long before the walkout music blares. It starts in the silent, steamy struggle to hit a number, a battle he has mastered through a blend of willpower and unique biology.
Tuivasa is refreshingly candid about the difficult road back to the UFC octagon. The popular Australian heavyweight is set to return at UFC 325 in Sydney this weekend against Talison Teixeira, marking his first fight since a split decision loss to Jairzinho Rozenstruik in August 2024. After that defeat, Tuivasa took a self-imposed hiatus from the sport, and as he admits, re-entry was anything but smooth.
"It was hard at the start because I was fat as fuck, but I'm all good now," Tuivasa said with characteristic bluntness at UFC 325 Media Day. He elaborated on the mental and physical toll of his recent skid, which now stands at 5 consecutive losses. "I had to miss it. Getting your head punched in and then losing and trying to come back, it's pretty hard, but I'm ready to get back on a winning streak now. I'm ready to go hard, give it all." Despite entering the bout as a significant underdog, Tuivasa's confidence appears undimmed. The fire to compete, he says, never truly left. "It's been a while. I fucking miss this shit." His training camp was a grind, a necessary purge after a prolonged period of inactivity and celebration. "I was going through a wall the first month of training, but I feel good now," Tuivasa told UFC.com. "I knew it was going to be hard. I knew it wasn't going to be easy. I was putting my feet up in my time off, so I knew it was going to be hard. Nothing comes easy." Tuivasa's mission is clear: stop the slide and reignite his career in front of a home crowd. His last victory was a legendary knockout of Derek Lewis in February 2022, a moment that feels a lifetime ago in the volatile world of heavyweight MMA. "My plan is to win this weekend, put my hand up and get back in there as soon as we can and work my way back up," he stated. "I've been on a bit of a shit trot, so get the job done this weekend and we'll go from there." Facing the formidable Teixeira, Tuivasa understands the stakes. A 6th straight loss could spell the end of his tenure as a ranked contender, but Bam Bam has built his brand on resilience, power, and an unshakable connection with fans. His comeback isn't just about a win, it's about proving that after a brutal stretch of setbacks and hard-earned return to form, he still belongs in the wild and unforgiving landscape of the UFC heavyweight division. Sean Strickland's coach, Eric Nicksick, has opened up about his star pupil's often overlooked wrestling skills and the renewed commitment he's shown in training ahead of a pivotal main event clash with Anthony Hernandez at UFC Houston. While Strickland is primarily known for his relentless pressure boxing and defensive prowess on the feet, Nicksick believes there's a deeper, underutilized layer to his game that could be the key to navigating the elite of the middleweight division. "Everyone in here knows how good Sean can wrestle and his ground game," Nicksick said in a recent interview. "Unfortunately, we don't see it as much as we'd like in a fight." The comment hints at a strategic dimension that could become crucial, not just for the dangerous grappler Hernandez, but for a potential future showdown with wrestling phenom and current champion Khamzat Chimaev. Nicksick acknowledged the intriguing backstory there, noting that Chimaev was once a valued training partner at Extreme Couture. "I think there's a lot of backstory there with Chimaev being out here and training with us. He was a huge asset to the gym and the team when he and Darren Till came out. It was funny because those guys really hit it off, and then all of a sudden they were going back and forth on social media for this build-up. That familiarity could prove invaluable, but Nicksick's greater focus is on the present camp." He revealed that he and Strickland had previously clashed over preparation standards, but the former champion has now fully bought into the process. "Some of the things Sean and I were butting heads on were things that I think we needed to be better at as far as the training, the drilling, the preparation, and he's bought in. At the end of the day, wins and losses are going to come and go, but to me, it's a lot about our preparation and how invested we are in preparing for these types of fights. Man, he's been all in. Not only has he been all in, so has the team." For Strickland, a convincing win over the surging Hernandez is essential to reassert himself in the title picture. If he can demonstrate the disciplined, all-in approach Nicksick describes, and perhaps unveil more of that hidden wrestling arsenal, it would send a powerful message to the division and make a potential clash with Chimaev a far more compelling and competitive prospect than many currently assume.
UFC featherweight contender Lerone Murphy is taking a proactive and ambitious approach to the championship logjam at 145 pounds. After being overlooked for a title shot in favor of Diego Lopes' immediate rematch with Alexander Volkanovski at UFC 325, the undefeated English striker is not idly waiting for another opportunity to fall into his lap. Instead, he is publicly campaigning for what he sees as the most definitive and challenging path forward, a title eliminator against the equally deserving and undefeated grappling ace Movsar Evloev. In a recent interview on the Pound for Pound podcast, Murphy laid out a clear and compelling vision for the division's near future, positioning a bout with Evloev as the necessary fight to settle the #1 contender debate. "You give me Evloev, the hardest fight," Murphy stated unequivocally. "I think that's the biggest matchup to make. You give me Evloev and you make Yair, Rodriguez, and Aljamain, Sterling fight." Murphy's call-out is both confident and strategically sound. He recognizes that Evloev represents the steepest stylistic challenge in the division, a relentless, pressure-based wrestler who has smothered every opponent put in front of him. Yet, Murphy believes his own explosive striking and fight-ending power can transform the potential chess match into a must-see event. "If he doesn't hold on and make it boring, it would be a banger," Murphy said of a potential clash with Evloev. "Obviously, that would be my job to do some defensive wrestling and break off and time something, but I think that's the fight to make." His argument cuts to the heart of the current featherweight stagnation, with both he and Evloev holding undefeated UFC records and strong cases for a title shot. A direct showdown offers the promotion a clean, marketable solution. "Everyone says it's either me or him that's next in line, so let's eliminate one and get it crackin'," Murphy reasoned, framing the bout as the logical next step for a division awaiting clarity. Murphy's last outing was a highlight reel spinning elbow knockout of Aaron Pico in October 2025, a victory that seemed to cement his place at the front of the queue. By calling for Evloev, he is demonstrating a willingness to face the toughest possible challenge to earn his gold, a move that builds his credibility with fans and the matchmakers alike. Whether the UFC seizes on this proposed eliminator will soon reveal how the promotion plans to navigate a stacked featherweight division awaiting the outcome of Volkanovski's latest title defense.